Hi, everybody. We are so excited to be live right now. And we have so many super amazing and super important, incredible educators and guests with us right now. So we are here to celebrate our very own Ray Hewer and Adam Welcome's new book, Teachers Deserve It. Oh, I'm so jealous that you guys have it. I don't have my copy yet. I am so jealous. So as you guys are coming in, say hi to us, let us know that you are here. But I would love to give everybody on the screen the chance to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about themselves. Sure. Andrea, you want to start?
I will. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Coachburner. I am one of the lead ambassadors with Meghan for the Teach Better team. I'm so excited to celebrate Ray and Adam's new book, Teachers Deserve It. My book came in last night, so I'm so excited to dive into it more. I'm a 7th grade English language arts teacher in the suburbs outside of Chicago. We are going to be going back to school, so I know that this book is totally going to help me because we've got a lot of teachers and students who are nervous right now and are kind of going down that complaining path. So we're going to need this book to remind ourselves why we deserve it and what we need.
Colissa Brogdon. I am one of the teacher ambassadors for the Teach Better team. I teach 11th and 12th grade English language arts in Cincinnati, Ohio for the Great Oaks career campuses. And I am jealous of the two who have their books already. I am stalking the Amazon truck who said that my book will be delivered by 8 p.m. tonight. I'm ready to go deeper into this book. I'm so happy for Ray and Adam. Just really excited about what they are sharing with us about what teachers deserve.
Joe?
Joe Gonzalez. I'm a part of a Teach Better ambassador, and I'm a 6th grade teacher from Charleston, West Virginia. I teach social studies and English. We are currently set to go back September 8th with district plans, but our governor is holding a press conference tomorrow, so hold that thought. So we'll see what happens. So we're just waiting here. So anyway, but looking forward to this. Ray and Adam are two great people that I've had the opportunity to meet and love everything that they do. So they have impacted me tremendously. So I'm excited to talk about them.
And I'm Michelle Carson. I'm a teacher here in Oregon. I teach at a really small school, so everything is multi-grade. But this fall, I'm embarking on my national board certification for middle school ELA. So that will be my primary focus. And I'm also going to be teaching a high school civics course and a elementary science.
Wow.
At the book yesterday, I was able to read like 2 chapters.
Oh, wow.
They're awesome. So I'm super excited to just dive into it all the way.
And I am Meghan Deegan. I teach 7th grade math in the suburbs of Chicago, and I'm also lead ambassador for the Teach Better team. I am so jealous of Andrea and Michelle because you guys have books, and I, like Colissa, am like stalking my Amazon to see when it's going to be here. Mine says Friday, but I'm secretly hoping that it'll be here a lot earlier. And I'm so excited because I feel like we are so lucky to be live with you guys as our ambassadors. We know how incredible you are. We just want to share all that awesomeness out with everyone. And we have so many ambassadors joining the daily drop-ins over the next 2 weeks. And then you guys on this, it is just so exciting. We've already got quite a few people joining us. We've got Caitlin here. We've got Nikki, Amanda, Jeff, Dave, Hans is here. You guys are awesome. Again, Van is here.
Speaking of ambassadors, we have a lot of ambassadors on right now.
We do. Adam's now here with us. Hey, Adam. Hey, guys. We are so excited that you are here and joining us because what better way to spend some time than talking about the Teachers Deserve It book, which, again, stalking Amazon because I don't have my copy yet. But I have gotten to see a little bit of it, and I am just so excited about this book. I think that I don't think there's a teacher, educator administrator, anybody that works with children out there that would pick up this book and not be able to relate to so many pieces of it. There are just so many times just in the little bit that I've had a chance to glance over and I'm like, yes, my gosh, I remember that. I relate to that. You know, I had a similar experience, which, you know, it's all about everything that teachers deserve. And there's quite a bit. There's so much to cover. And I think that it could not have been covered more perfectly.
For sure. Especially with right now, you know, we talked a little bit about it in the drop-ins, but in March, you know, everybody was really singing teachers' praises. Like, oh my gosh, teachers are so awesome. Look at all that you're doing. And our parents really recognized it because they were becoming the teachers, you know, helping out their students' remote learning. But now there's been a lot of controversy, a lot of people with different opinions about, you know, should the teachers go back to work and should they not? And why don't they want to go back to work? So I think this book really is coming out at such a poignant time in our society to remind us as teachers why we deserve it, and then to remind others, you know, why we deserve it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
The part that really, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well,
You go.
I posted it on Facebook and Instagram last night when I got it. And there's lots of people on, like, my family and friends and that are not educators. And after I posted it and I got all these likes and whatever, I was thinking, oh, I hope people aren't thinking that. I'm just putting this on here because teachers deserve everything. Because that's not at all what the book is about, right? It's, you know, complaining is not a strategy is what I love to always quote Adam Wilkham, because it's not. You have to have that mindset of solution-oriented mindset. And that's what this is about. So I'm going to have to do some more posting so that people understand that this book is not about complaining. It's just about empowering and finding solutions.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I love that.
I like the word empowering, but I also think the word encouraging. I want to read this book to be encouraged because this year is my 20th year in the classroom. And before the pandemic began, I was ready for this 20th year, I was throwing a party. I was getting t-shirts made that said, you know, way to go, year 20, still with like a gazillion years to go before retirement. And I'm like, this is so not what I envisioned the 20th year to be. And I'm spending the next few days, we go back in next week. And it's not so much the deserving part, is that we need to encourage right now is, yeah, they were like, teachers deserve everything. And now we need to tell ourselves we deserve it. 1000% deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I could not agree with that more. It's, you know, like Hans said too, it's such a relevant book for right now. I don't think there is a more perfect time to have this book released than when it released. Teachers do deserve a lot. And, you know, again, in March, like Andrea said, it was a lot of praise for teachers, and that has dramatically shifted. And so I think it's perfectly, like you guys have worded it perfectly. We deserve it. And I think that it's okay that we deserve it. It's okay for us to say that, you know, we do deserve respect, and we're not trying to brag about what we're doing or say that it's easy. So it's not complaining. It's really just putting that positive spin on it. And I think that every teacher, every educator deserves to know that right now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's dive into the book a little bit more. So the book is broken down, like we said, it's not a complaining book at all. They broke down some of the main things. So, for example, chapter 1 is the obvious. Teachers deserve the appreciation and respect. And they go into so many examples about that. And then they have teachers who they're spotlighted at the end of each chapter that explain their why, and that coordinates with that part of the chapter. And the next one is teachers deserve to be heard. You know, our voices are important. And I know right now with the decisions being made in the pandemic, you know, not all districts have reached out to all their stakeholders. So this is kind of, again, reminding us that, like, we have opinions that need to be heard, and we have, so much to offer that we need to make sure we put it out there. That other chapters go on, but teachers deserve good leaders, teachers deserve to be connected. And again, at the end of each chapter, 2 teachers are spotlighted. And a lot of these names, when you see them, you're going to recognize from Twitter, you're going to recognize from Instagram, and so many members of the Teach Better Speakers Network, other ambassadors. We've got Carly Spina, Hans and Jet Apple, Becky Thal, just so many amazing people that you're going to get a chance to spotlight more. So it's not just Ray and Adam's thoughts. They bring in so many other teachers' thoughts too, which is great.
I love that. I love all the voices that are included because I think, you know, it just brings so much more relatability to the book because you're hearing from, you know, 22 other educators too, and everything that, you know, they've experienced and they've gone through. So, you know, it makes it easier to relate and see all these teachers and other educators that are, you know, have gone through the same things and get to share their stories. I think that is awesome. I'm so excited for that part of the book too.
Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to point out that in each chapter, there's little, I don't know what you want to call it, blurbs where it says Adam says, and he gives examples of some specific examples of his experiences, and there's Ray says. I think those are really neat little anecdotes to. I look forward to those. It kind of breaks up not that there's anything that it needs to break up, but it's just kind of a fun little point to hone in on.
Yeah, it personalizes it more too, you know, because it shows how, you know, Ray is still in the classroom and Adam, you know, has done so many things in his career between the classroom and speaking and, you know, ministry that it really personalizes it and makes you realize, hey, you know, they're not just this author that doesn't know what I'm experiencing in the classroom right now. They're still so relevant.
Exactly. Yeah.
That you're not alone and isolated, and especially with the social distancing that we have to do and we have to continue. That they were just like you, dealing with the same issues.
Exactly.
Right.
For sure.
And I love what Van said too. You know, he interviewed his principal, and his principal acknowledged that teachers deserve more respect than they currently have. And I think, you know, again, we talk about, and I think this goes great with what Hans said too. We talk about how teachers deserve it, but I think, you know, when we say teachers deserve it, we're highlighting the kids deserve it. You know, there are certain things that teachers advocate for, whether it's smaller class sizes, you know, it's different pieces within the district and within the building, whether it's a librarian, social workers and things, but we're doing that for the kids because it's all things that we want for the kids. You know, the more that we get, the better that we are for our students. And I think that, you know, that often gets overlooked sometimes, and it gets put as like, you know, teachers want this and teachers want that, but really 99% of our wants are to be better for our students or to give, you know, our students more.
Yeah, usually it's teachers, when you do hear teachers going on strike, obviously there's things with pay and benefits, but a lot of times it's just resources. You know, they want smaller class sizes to better serve their students. They want to be able to have, you know, the books and the technology that they need to teach their students better. It all goes back to the students.
Yeah, like Nikki's comment, you know, what helps teachers helps students. And I think one thing with the pandemic, you know, I remember we were sitting in our department meetings the day that our governor, you know, Governor DeWine literally told us at 3:30 that we were closing for the next 3 weeks. And, you know, the teachers were brought to the table then. And then after that, no one decided to bring teachers to the table to get their input. And for me, you know, teachers deserve that respect to get their voices heard. And that's how we better serve our students, is getting the voices of our educators, our teachers at that table to talk about how to best serve our students. So, and you're right, Amanda, we're our number one advocate for our students. And I think that's how I'm going to survive going back into the classroom, is that, you know, I think Lindsay said it with, you know, take the what else to the what is. Well, the what is I'm an advocate for my students. So I'm going to get what I deserve so I can better serve my students.
Mm-hmm.
I used to wear the Kids Deserve It shirt in one of my old classrooms, and one of my kids would come up to me every time I wore it, and he'd say, "Kids deserve what?" And I'm like, you deserve everything. So I'm thinking, like, if I get a teacher's deserve shirt, am I going to have that people looking at me? So, but I need to have that in mind of like, well, if we deserve it, then it's more or less it's the kids driving it. So no, I'm echoing all your points.
Put it on the back. Put it on the back of the shirt. Teachers deserve it, and then put on the back. The kids deserve it.
You have an idea, Colissa. Share that with Ray and Adam.
Hans asked the question, what are your learning hopes and dreams for your kiddos in this fall pandemic? I need them to be successful. And to me, they're not going to be successful if people don't realize that we are doing the best that we can with the situations that we have that are literally changing minute by minute. And I do mean minute by minute.
Yeah.
That's my best right now. That's my best.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think that really when it comes to the kids, I just, however this ends up being, I'm sure it's going to be partially in the class, partially remote. And like you said, it's changing minute by minute. It's going to change, but I want the kids to be able to be successful. And I also want them to know that they have a support system, and it's not just their family. As teachers, we wear a lot of hats. And I think that, we really, really, when March came around, did everything in our power to make sure that we were supporting our students, however that looked and however they needed the support. Because, it's different for every student. So I really want my kids to know that they have a support system and we're not going to let them fail. We're not going to let them down. And, we're going to be there for whatever they might need.
Yeah, and I think it's important too that we let them know that although this year is going to look so different than any year before, it's still going to be awesome. And I think that's a reminder, even just for myself, because thinking about it, the school year, how's this going to go? Because obviously last school year didn't go the way we planned, but we didn't know it going in. We were ready to have a regular school year. So I think it's just really important that the kids know it's going to be different, but it's still going to be amazing. And that we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that it's amazing for them, just in a very different way.
For sure. And we have to. Well, like I said, I teach in a really small school. So our families are very involved, which I know is different for other places. But I think it also, we have to project that positivity into our families as well, because if they go home, the kids go home from school and they have this great experience, but then they go home and all their parents are complaining about this and that, and we can't do things the way we used to, and blah, blah, blah. That's just going to bring them right back down. So we really need to have our voices heard out everywhere, not just in our classroom, to show that we're taking this on and it's going to be awesome, no matter what the situation is. And we really need I will drive that home.
Michelle, I heard a quote a couple years ago and I echo it to myself every single day, and I eat it. I'm like, because it humbles me. If you can't change the outcome, change your response. There is nothing we can do right now with the pandemic or whatever the governor tells us or whatever. I mean, honestly, I think we just want to go back and teach whatever way that may look at, and we just have to do whatever we can within our power. And I think that's the best message to relay to the kids, is saying, we're all in this together. This isn't like one pocket of the country. It's pretty much the entire globe is going through this right now. And that's the unique thing about this situation that helps this book along, of that everyone's almost in the same boat right now, of where we don't know what to expect. So it's really nice to have that book to lean on and maybe pass it to your coworkers, things. But yeah, I eat that on a daily basis because, I want to be in the classroom teaching normally like I did last year, but that's just not the case. And it's going to be like that for who knows. So I think we just adjust that attitude and just change and, hey, find that solutions-oriented mindset, like Adam says.
Yeah.
And Joe, thank you for saying that, because I guess I needed that reminder, literally, that I cannot just go into the classroom and teach normally. And you actually echo, we're doing that training that R factor, Urban Meyer R factor, your response, it will be the outcome. And, I mentioned, stayed up to 3:00 in the morning, doing this lovely grid, just to be told, let's introduce that to the students next quarter.
Oh.
Okay.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
It's done,
So-
right? It's done now,
Yeah.
so you can just save it for later.
Just save it for later. So yes, Joe, I like that. That actually helps out a lot. So that what if is to what is. It's not normal. It's not normal.
Mhm.
And Danielle and Livia have joined us. Livia made a really great point. She said she thinks it's really important to show them that we're going to do everything we can and not just tell them. And I think that honestly is, I can see that in two ways. I can see that with the students and I think with the parents. I think one of the pieces I read in this book, and I say it's my favorite now, but I haven't even, I don't have the book yet, so I haven't read the whole book. So I'm sure my favorite will change every page. But it was to take a video and take a second and record your why and share that. And I think that sometimes I take that for granted. And we've had this conversation. I'm sure a lot of people have had this conversation before. Whenever you start something new, sometimes your administrators might be a little leery of it because they don't understand it. So I've been asked before, have you taken the time to explain it to them? And there are a lot of times when I stop and I think, and I'm like, oh no, I didn't. I was like, but I know all about this, so of course it's a good thing. And people will absolutely, I think, be more supportive when they understand you. But we can't expect them to understand us when they don't know us. One of my favorite quotes that I'll always say is, kids don't care what we know until they know that we care. Mm-hmm. I don't see that, it's not going to be different with parents until they feel that they know us. We have to build that trust. And one of those ways is, I think, by telling them our why. Why are we teachers? Why did we become teachers? I think that if you gave every teacher 30 seconds to explain their why, you would immediately understand them 10 times better than you do before, because that's like when you see our passion come out, is when we really get to talk about why we do what we do. So that's something that I'm going to do with my team.
I like that.
I reached out to them today and was like, let's all record our whys and put it on our team website. We're going to let the community and the parents know why we're doing what we're doing, because I want them to have faith in what we're doing and trust us and know that it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be changes that come very abruptly, I'm sure. Yeah. But we're here, we're doing our best, and we're not going to stop doing our best and doing everything that we can for our students.
Yeah. Right. That communication key is so important now, because I'm sure a lot of your schools, like open house, obviously isn't happening this year. Right. Curriculum nights aren't going to happen. That doesn't mean that we stop communicating with our families. Right. Even more than before, I used to send out email updates, and then during the pandemic, I did video updates. I feel like those video updates are going to be even more important now, so they can see my face. Like everybody always says, in the absence of communication, people will make up their own story. So we have to write the story for ourselves. And I feel like this book really encourages that. Like Meghan said, tell them your why. Don't make them guess it. Don't make them guess that you're the teacher that was only a teacher because you want to work until 3 o'clock. Rewrite that story and tell them why. Not they have to know that you're up till 3 o'clock in the morning, but let them know, like, we're working all the time, for your kids.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
The entire pandemic.
Absolutely. I joke. I feel like we haven't had. I was like, summer's off. I go back in 2 weeks, and I don't really know where my summer. I don't know if I had a summer. Like, it just went by real fast. No. Because so much has just been changing so rapidly that everyone's planning for essentially an unknown. Which it's hard to plan for what most of the time. So planning for an unknown is even more difficult.
Right.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention, I saw in some of the comments, some people have said that they're not able to get the book yet, or they're going to hold off. The good thing is, Ray and Adam put together a book study that highlights 3 of their chapters, and they are both on it. They record, they kind of give you a little summary about it. So that would be a great starting point for those of you who are waiting on your book or just can't quite get it yet. That'll really help kind of jumpstart you, for the school year.
Mm-hmm. Short and sweet and to the point. Mm-hmm. It didn't take very long, but gave you a really great insight into what you do.
I agree.
Each module was less than 10 minutes long, so I was, working on actually some schoolwork, and I had it up in the background, and I kept stopping what I was doing to go, oh, yeah. And so then I'm like, okay, now that I got the book, I'm like, great, now I could go back and read what that chapter was about more.
Yes, and you know what I did is when I got the book, I went straight to chapter 4, which is interesting for me because I am one of those. I think we all are. I think we all educators just take on the persona of kind of a humble servant. We don't want to, we don't want the accolades. We don't want all of that recognition. But the way they framed it up in the book study, I was like, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Doc, and actually, I also heard Caitlin Giordano talk to Dave Schmitto on Lasting Learning recently about how we should be recognized as the professionals that we are and the experts that we are. And she was, the way she explained it too was she was just so passionate about it. And I was like, yeah, that's right, we should be. So I had to hone in on that chapter when I got it. And one of the things that really jumped out was the negative social media, which I had also mentioned in a family check-in here a few weeks ago. I was like, oh my gosh, I was on Twitter and it gave me so much anxiety. I was on there looking for some great ideas for this fall, and all it did was kind of beat me down, And so in that chapter, in chapter 4, they talk about the negative social media comments are part of the problem as to why we're not recognized as the professionals. If you go in there and everybody's just complaining all the time about, oh, it's Sunday, I don't want to go to work tomorrow, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that might be why. So we do need to change. We need to, again, shift our perspectives, and that will help to shift the perspectives of the public.
Yeah, I looked at the agenda that Meghan sent out, and I to go through the chapters because, of course, I'm jealous. I don't have the book yet, and I think chapter 4 and chapter 10 are two of the chapters I'm looking forward to reading. Because especially with chapter 4 is, I am a sharer of information. I love research. And when I find something, I instantly want to share it with someone, which is why I love the Teach Better team, because you guys love to share stuff too. And we share stuff and we talk about things, and I'm like, ooh, like-minded people. And two of the things that I think about on my own campus and even in my district is that when you are a sharer of information, people tend to, I always have to preface it with, hey, you don't have to use it. I'm just sharing the information, either file it away. Some people call it, I have a Colissa folder. So they just file it in a Colissa folder. They go back to it whenever they feel like it. You need your peer respect. And if you don't have successful performance, most people will not see you as a person to go to actually want the information that you share. And I listened to the live this morning with Ray and everyone, where I'm hoping I can word it the way that they said it, where they said that people, you can be a sharer of information, but people really won't want your expertise if they're not really looking for information. So, a lot of times, so we can have a lot of things that you want to share, but if people are not really looking for the information, they're not going to want to receive it. So once again, I'm going to that for that chapter 4. I really want to hear their insight and what their stories are, and the educators that they talk to. Like, when you really have all of this information and you're a person who just loves taking that in, what do you do with it? When you have all of that information, where does it go when you have all that information and you really want to share all of that information? So really looking forward to that chapter.
Yeah, just to kind of jump in, chapter 4 is about teachers deserving recognition for their expertise.
Because that's just your expertise. Like, I want to be Dr. Brogdon one day, and when I get it, I don't want to just have it for the title. I want people to know that I'm an expert in something for it. But sorry, Joe.
One thing. I used to do it. I don't do it anymore, but I heard about it, and I've seen schools do it, and it's interesting. It's not so selfish, but take your degrees and either put a picture of or put them in your classroom, and kids will start asking you questions of like, what does that mean? Or what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, I had to go to school to get this job, or I had to go through this to get it. So it shows them how hard you've worked. And then I know that schools have sometimes done it where they'll put up in like, when you walk into school, here's all the teachers, and it puts their certifications. So it kind of shows the parents coming in of saying, hey, this was an easy job to get, but, and it's not being selfish, but it's definitely talking about what you're talking about is leading into that chapter of showing this. I mean, how much work, how many tests you had to take, how many things like that, how much work you have to put in to do this. So.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they relate it to, you walk into a lot of any offices, you walk into a doctor's office or a dentist's office, you're going to see all that hung up. And so, it's for some reason that's not usually done in education, but I think that's the change, is knowing that it's okay to do that. I know, Michelle, you mentioned you are starting your national board certification. I just got certified in December. It is so difficult. And it took me 2 years, and it was so much hard work. And then when I got certified, I was like, oh, should I like show it off? Should I like put it out? And then I was like, no, I worked really hard for this. And so on my Twitter, I put that, like the NBCT, after my name, because, it is okay to be proud of what you've accomplished and to let other people know that you've accomplished that. And I think that that's, again, it's a mindset shift. It's something where we look at it as, oh, we don't really want to brag about this, but I think that changing that mindset to, you're not bragging, you are showing the hard work that you have put in and the hard work that you continuously put into this career that you've chosen.
And what do you do with that? And what do you do with it once you have it? That's why I said the share of information. When you have it, I want to share it. I want people to know that I have it. So here, take it. Please do something with it. I don't want to just have it for myself. Here, take it.
And then,
yes, absolutely.
Adam brings that up in one of the modules. He says that, like if my, like for example, Meghan, so like you became nationally board certified. If you were to have emailed your parents, he said that as a parent, he'd be like, wow, my kid's teacher is nationally board certified. Like, that's amazing. Yeah. And I think about, we would have to do that. But like with your doctor, like if your doctor gets some big, award, you're like, oh, my doctor, just became doctor of the year, whatever it is. We wear that proudly. Like, why don't they do that for teachers? You want your doctor to be the most educated and the most, revered. We want teachers to be that same way too. But for some reason, we just treat it very differently. So this book is starting to change that. And then I know both of you mentioned chapter 10 too. And for those of you that don't have it yet, chapter 10 is about boundaries. And I feel like during this pandemic, we've really noticed that. I know Meghan and I, we work in the same school. And so those boundaries were so hard because our students didn't have to sign in at a certain time. They just had work to do for the week. So we literally got emails at 2:00 in the morning. Hi, can you help me? 7:00 in the morning, 8:00 at night. So it was so hard. It was just like, oh, they reached out. I want to help them. Not 2:00 in the morning. And we have families. I have a baby at home. So it's just, I feel like those boundaries are important because we feel the need as teachers. I want to help them. They're actually doing work. Okay, I have to help them.
Right.
Yeah, other professions, you wouldn't do that. I wouldn't call my doctor at 8:00 at night unless it was an absolute emergency. Why do we feel like it's okay to respond to a kid's email at 8:00 at night? So
having that all access, because they told us to set office hours, and you set office hours, and I think I even reached out to doing those Monday Zoom sessions with the Teach Better team, and we talked about that. Like, how do you respond to parents who are upset because you did not respond to them after your office hours? And you're like, you saw me online, but that's because I'm deciding to work, and I'm being courteous by saying I will respond to you the next day. And it's like, hey, it's okay to tell them, I see your email, I respond to you tomorrow, and it's okay. I think the same thing mindset has to go in at the beginning of the school year. Our academics, we're going to be remote. It's okay. I will get just the same way. You don't want us to bother you at work. I'm going to respect that. It's a matter of respect. Your doctor will not give you their cell phone number to call them at all hours of the night. Your police, no one's going to actually take that. And it is really about getting that respect. from the community, from your leaders, from everyone else. I remember going on maternity leave 5 years ago and literally having to take my work email off of my cell phone because no one understood that I'm not just sitting at home on bed rest. I'm trying to make sure I don't go into preterm labor. And I just took it off, and I have not put it back on my cell phone since, because I deserve not to be disturbed.
I need to follow that rule during my maternity leave, Colissa, because I did not turn it off, and I worked all the time. So I like that idea.
Doesn't mean I don't sneak and still check it.
I think we learned from that. I mean, we went through the same thing. It was answering emails left and right and stuff. But so I think going into this year, I think the kind of one positive that we have is you can tell those kids from the bat right off the get-go, like, okay, you shouldn't be doing projects at 11:59 or 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. But, you know, if you happen to have a question, send me a message and we'll get to it in the morning. Don't freak out. Don't panic that it's not being answered right away. And so I do anticipate some change. I don't want to say a lot. I'm not going to say that every student is going to follow that or every parent is going to follow that. But I do look at some positive outlook of saying, okay, we experienced 3 months of it that didn't go the way that people probably wanted to, or it was difficult. Now that we've gone through 6 months of this, almost going into 7, 8, 9, we have a better idea coming in going, okay, I can focus on this if I know that I'm giving my students X, Y, and Z to do, and I'm available at these times. So, but that's just my kind of trying to be positive outlook there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of great points. You know, we've had some experience with it, so we know how it went, and it's hard because as educators we just want to help our kids, and you know that's what we do. That's what we love to do, and we don't like it when our students, you know, struggle and need that help and it's not there. So we think that we very quickly jump to help them at all hours when they're, you know, when they were emailing, because we want to be there, we want to support them. And I think it's okay to set boundaries, and we have to know that. We have to just know and say that it is okay to set boundaries for ourselves. You know, it's not a bad thing to set boundaries. And Adam even brought up a really good point. He said, you know, sometimes you're going to try something and it's, you know, maybe you try it for 2 weeks and it's not working very well. So you try something else. You know, it's okay to change what we're doing. If we set boundaries, you know, let's say we set office hours of I'm available from 1 to 3 to answer, you know, depending on what your day looks like. I'm here from 1 to 3, you know, to either live video chat with you or answer emails, things like that. And maybe that doesn't work. Maybe you're realizing that most of your kids are doing work in the morning, or, you know, you can adjust. It's okay to adjust, but I think just still kind of sticking to setting those boundaries and sticking to them for ourselves. We deserve that. We deserve to be able to set boundaries because we don't need to be working 24/7 to make this, to be successful and to help our students be successful.
I think
No, go ahead.
it just comes back to communication too, right? So if we set those boundaries, I haven't read it yet. I haven't read that chapter yet. But in my opinion, if you set those boundaries up front and say, okay, this is when I'm available and I'm happy to help. And if you have a question outside of that time, go ahead and send it, but I'm going to respond to it at this time, or, you know, within this time frame. So I think if we just set that up front, I think that helps set the pace for the time being. And then, like Meghan said, though, if it doesn't work and you give it a good try, like Adam said, give it a good try. But if that doesn't work, then you can try something else.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And Becky brings up a good point of really, it does teach some life skills, you know, time management, correspondence. As they get older, you know, they're not going to be on 24/7. They're not going to want to respond all the time. And Rebecca actually asked a question. It's not showing up over here, so I can't put it up.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that too. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, she asked a really good question. She said, so what happens when they don't finish an assignment because they had a question and then they blame you for not completing it? Which, you know, I do think is something that, you know, if we have a kid that emails us at, let's say, 8 o'clock at night and we don't respond to it, and then, you know, the next day they don't have it done, that is going to happen. So kind of how do you handle that situation?
I'm thinking of doing what I learned is a lot of my incoming sixth graders did not know how to use a lot of the programs that we had, or I thought they had more technology skills than they did. So what I'm thinking is make a video of what do I do when I'm stuck? Mm-hmm. Okay, did I ask my parents, or did I ask an adult at the house? Did I Google it? Did I go to YouTube? Did I go to, list 5 or 7 resources and do that 3 before me kind of rule of saying, I've at least tried to contact this, and this, and I'm still not sure of it. Mm-hmm. Now I need your help. And so that might maybe explain to them saying, it's not like we're in the classroom and you instantly have a question, raise your hand. It's maybe I make a quick video and say, here's 5 links that I would say, if you're having trouble, do this, and this, and we'll get back to it in the morning. That would be my start, at least where I would start.
And Joe, I'm glad you actually answered that way. Rebecca Huff worked in my building as a long-term sub. So she knows 3 before me very well because it was posted all throughout my classroom, because one of our things is peer-to-peer learning, which our students had a hard time grasping. So that's why my response to her was to set that guideline of what to do, because remote learning and online learning are 2 different things. And remote learning, if they get stuck on an assignment, I need to know what all did they try to do to actually help themselves. Did you access what 3 or 4 things did you try to do to actually try to answer that question before you just decided I'm giving up since the teacher did not respond to me in my time as a student, my microwave time, as I call it. Their popcorn microwave time. That's what I call that, in microwave time.
I love that.
Yeah, that did not happen for you because they want snap microwave time, and that's one of those things that to our teaching and learning team, I'm trying to get them to understand is that as much as we want to help our students, I don't want to handhold my students as well, because they have to learn some of these. There's different skills for remote learning that we need to make sure our students learn, which is going to be an absence of a teacher. How are you going to be accountable and responsible for your learning? Don't just not do the assignment. Be okay to put something down, start and say, hey, I needed help with this, so I know how to move you further along. So my response to her was set that guideline as a checkpoint so that when I do see that you emailed me, I know where to move you forward. So I'm glad you gave her that answer so that she knows that I wasn't just pulling something out of the air.
So true.
No, yeah, that is so true. I think that we're a resource, but we're not the only resource. But I do think that definitely, you have to teach them that. They it's, Becky says, 3 before me, even virtually. We are not the only resource, and although we are a great one, there are other resources. And of course, if they've explored a lot of options and they still need help, we have to be able to give grace. We have to understand that there are times, which I think that situation is one we encounter even when we're normally face to face.
Right.
You get kids that go home and get stuck on homework, and maybe they've emailed you, but it's at night, you're not going to respond. You don't see it till the next morning. And, that's a situation we've had. What do you do? Sometimes you have to just give the grace and, you pick it up the next morning. But I love, though, that we have to teach them. We are not the only resource. I actually thought of setting up, which I might do, I don't know yet. I might use Flipgrid as one of the ways to let them virtually help each other. So I'm going to have a Flipgrid for questions where they can go and post questions, and that can be something, that they check. But I completely agree. Just because you're going to get kids that don't follow, if you say, here are my office hours, or here when I'll answer questions, you're going to get kids that don't follow it. It doesn't mean that we need to change our boundaries. We are still allowed to set boundaries. We still deserve boundaries. I completely agree with Hans. We need microwave time. That's great.
I want one.
My students, they know what I mean by microwave time. 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
That's so funny.
Give me a little bit more time than that.
Perfect.
I think it goes to, you have to teach them how to ask the right questions. Because a lot of times I'll get an email or they'll just say, I don't get it. I don't get what? And chances are they don't even know what they don't get because they didn't stop to read it. So I'll make them talk it through with me. Well, what don't you get? Let's read through it together. And then a lot of times they answer their own question. So I feel like that's a big part of it too is, okay, stop that 3 before me. Not only who did you ask, but did you ask yourself, like, what is it that I don't get?
Mhm.
I think that's a big learning opportunity, for them as well.
And like Olivia said, teaching them how to help themselves.
Right.
Sometimes I think that we assume, that they know how to help themselves. And sometimes we do have to teach that a little bit. Here are your resources. How do you ask questions? It's all things that we're going to have to teach them, especially, and it's harder when it's virtually, but it's all things that come into play more when we're remote learning than it does face to face.
Yes.
For sure.
Mhm. All my students know, and even the parents, they all know. My favorite thing to say is use your resources. And then so I don't say 3 before me, but I'm like, okay, well, use your resources. And then if they're still like, well, I did, I say, okay, well, what resources did you use?
Mhm.
What have you done to advocate? I teach them to advocate for themselves. What have you done so far to figure this out? And if they come up to me and say, I don't get it, like that does not fly with me at all. And they know this right from the get-go. I need a specific question from a specific, you need to tell me, what have you done so far? Where are you at? And what exactly is your question? So we teach them right. I teach them right from the get-go to advocate for themselves, for sure.
Yes. And always ask them, I like what Olivia says, what do you think? Turning that back on them, and it helps them be more independent, which is really what a life skill that we want to teach them in general all the time.
Yeah.
And for them to get out of their comfort zones, because a lot of them will not use, like for instance, for peer-to-peer, the beginning of the school year, they do not want to go to others because the very first thing is, I don't know them. I don't know this person. They look like they know the answer or they can help me, but I don't know them. So I'm going to the teacher, and they will not go to it. So once again, just to finish answering Rebecca's question, just a lot of different skills need to go into play to help them out with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to have them put in that effort before we jump in and save them, because it's okay for us to save them. It's okay for us to be the resource. But I think that, I have a poster up in my room. I talk to my kids about productive struggle. It's okay to struggle sometimes. It teaches you how to be independent and how to problem solve on your own. So I think that that's a super important, it's a super important life skill for them to know.
Absolutely.
And Rebecca actually just said, again, her comments are not showing up, but she just said, these are life skills. I don't just teach English. I'll have to teach more of those skills: self-advocacy, accountability, and using your resources. Thank you guys so much, which, it's a reminder for all of them. We don't just teach, the subject or subjects that we teach. We have to, we teach these life skills, and, they learn them from somewhere, and really it's must.
It is from us.
I tell them that I use YouTube all the time. I mean, my wife will ask me, can you fix this in the house? And I'll go, I don't know. Let me see. And I YouTube it. And it's YouTube as the algorithm that even the question you Google, it'll find it in, it's 37 seconds into the video. Here's the answer to your question. I'm like, that's we didn't. And I always, I claim I'm old, but I mean, I remember the card catalog system, but I didn't use it.
Yes.
I look at these kids going, you have the power in front of you. Just look at it or try and just Google it. But so I couldn't tell you how many things I've fixed or I've looked at and said, okay, I can buy the part and maybe somebody can help me come fix it. But I didn't sit there for 8 hours going, well, gee, I just don't know what to do. So I'm just going to wait till whatever. So, and again, it's a hard, I've probably done that before too, but yeah, there's a lot of things that I don't know. And so I've referred to, I have Ray, I have Andrea, I have this whole Teach Better team that I've sent messages to say, hey, can you help me figure this out? Because I can't see it like you do.
Right.
Exactly. I love it. I will say, as we've been live talking about how amazing this book is for almost 50 minutes now, one of the last things I'd love to touch on, because I think that as educators, it's something that we all love. Every chapter ends with an educator experiment. And I will say, I have read plenty of books where I finish reading them and I'm like, okay, this was a really great book, but now what?
Right.
And these educator experiments at the end, I think it's phenomenal to walk away from not even the end of the book, every chapter, and be like, here's 1 or 2 things that I could do right now. Not going to take me very long. that are tactical takeaways, which is, again, I think for educators, it's something that we look for, and it's great to have this resource where we have, how many, 11 chapters where we have 11 takeaways that we can turn around and, do right now or tomorrow. I think that is a huge portion of this book that I'm going to love.
Love it.
At least 11. There's in chapter 4, there's four takeaways in the educator experiment. So there's more than one in each chapter, which
It's gonna be my favorite chapter.
It's awesome. I think it's a huge piece. It's awesome to read something. And usually, you get it towards the end of the book. Every chapter, you're going to end the chapter with, here's something you can do right now, or more than one thing that you can do right now. It's awesome. I am so excited for that. I was excited for this book in general, but
Yeah.
I think it's great too. You don't have to necessarily read the book in its order. I feel like you can kind of jump around and pick like, okay, you know what, this chapter I really need to focus on is something that just happened at work, and then use that takeaway, put it back for a little bit, and then, check out another chapter there as well.
Love it.
So yeah, it's so applicable.
absolutely.
great.
Well, guys,
Yeah.
I'm ready for my book.
I hope it comes soon. We are so incredibly appreciative that you guys were willing to come live with us and, talk about this book, especially being that most of us don't have the book or just got the book like yesterday. So we love that you were able to come live. We love nothing more than being able to celebrate Ray and Adam and this incredible book that they have released. Teachers Deserve It. If you don't have it yet, go to Amazon, go to Barnes & Noble, order it, get yourself a copy. I promise you are going to absolutely love it. It is awesome. It's going to be incredible.
Definitely.
So thank you all for joining us.
you,
I cannot wait for the rest of you to get your books. And as you guys are reading, share things out. Hashtag Teachers Deserve It. Share it out. We all want to see it. We want to connect with all of you and see how you are using this book and what you are taking away from this book as you read it.
Yes.
Have a phenomenal Tuesday. Have a great rest of your week. Good luck to everyone who's back in school or going to be back in school very soon.
Yes. All right.
All right.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Everyone.